Drop it on them random.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of That Time in Hip Hop, a podcast about the history, nostalgia, but more importantly, the preservation of hip hop music and culture. I am your host, Vegas of Hip Hop Now Podcast. I got with me, as always, partner in crime, Tony of IntoTheDome.com. What's good, brother?
Not much, brother. Sipping some ginger and cayenne again, man. I'm trying to do better, man. I had a beer earlier, so it's the balance of life right here.
Oh, shit. Damn, balance of life. I just made like a fake amaretto sour, some whiskey sour. I don't know. I just put alcohol and juice. So, but yo, if you are returning and you like this show, I'm pretty sure you hit that subscribe button and we appreciate you. But if you're a new listener, please know that this is what we do, man. We got like almost 30 episodes. And the beauty of this podcast, because we thought about this before we did it, we didn't just do it, is the fact that they'll never get old because it's about history. Even when we talk about something that's current, like our 2018 best of albums, it's a part of history. So you can always go back and the episodes will feel fresh. You know what I'm saying? So definitely subscribe. And if you watch the video, but you don't always get to watch the videos, don't forget that available on any streaming service, because trust me, I've put the shit everywhere. You can look for Hip Hop Now podcast, and this podcast is actually on the same stream. So not only do you get that podcast, but you also get That Time in Hip Hop. And you hit the subscribe button, you stay updated, man. But let's get right into the business at hand. And we like to do this thing called This Week in Hip Hop. And this week in hip hop, a man by the name of MC Hammer dropped an album in 1990. Let's get the date correctly. February 12th, I believe. Where'd it go? Yeah, February 12th, 1990. MC Hammer dropped his album, Please Hammer, Don't Hurt Him. Now, MC Hammer is a very, or was, let's say this, he was at that time a very polarizing MC in the game because he was looked at generally by his hip hop peers as a sellout, as not really a rapper, as not really making hip hop, but he was highly successful. Tone, 1990, Please Hammer Don't Hurt Him. The S curl with the 3 lines in the hair and the hammer pants, man. What was your thoughts on MC Hammer when you first heard him, when you first saw a video?
Hey, you know what? Real talk. A lot of people, when they bought them hammer pants, was dancing like Hammer. You know what I'm saying? You know, the clubs and the parties and stuff like that, little house parties, cats were doing the Running Man like Hammer. You know what I'm saying? So then You Can't Touch This came out, as one of the singles, and the video was a big hit. And he was grooving in the video, dog, and people was taking that, and he took that on the road again for this worldwide tour, man. And real talk, Hammer is excellent live. You know what I'm saying? So yes, for some hip hop purists, they might be like, yeah, he's not quote unquote the MC that at that time in 1990 you had Ice Cube and Rakim and whoever, KRS-One. So no, he was cut from a different cloth, but he was very entertaining. He actually helped usher in popularity of hip hop in terms of commercialism and selling a bunch of records and huge concerts. We hadn't seen concerts like Hammer since early Run DMC and LL and Def Jam concerts. Hammer was in Coliseums. You know what I'm saying? Selling out Coliseums, man, and just really taking hip hop to that next level. He had Hammer, toys and all kind of stuff, man. So yeah, man, Hammer's a big star. We laughed about it up to a degree, you know what I'm saying? And I think magazines and things of that nature kind of played Hammer and kind of pushed that to make fans kind of play him. When you look at his entertainment value, it was there. You know what I'm saying? And just on another quick little side note, and we might have said this in another podcast show, Hammer wasn't no sucker. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, y'all laughing about MC Hammer and Can't Touch This and turn it up, turn this mother out and all that. But nah, Hammer is a real G from Oakland, very respected. there's a lot of stories about Hammer out there. With a lot of MCs you think hardcore had issues with Hammer when they had face-to-face conversations with Hammer. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And he's connected, man. I mean, even Too Short talked about that on Vlad TV before, saying, yeah, his people and Hammer people at one point was a little problem. He's like real talk, Hammer and his people, he said they about that life, man. You know what I'm saying? This comes from Short. You know what I'm saying? And MC Search talked about going to California and Hammer had a hit on him. Russell Simmons them had to intervene. You know what I'm saying? Like Red Man just the other year on Vlad said, yeah, Hammer walked up to me and on the last episode of Yo MTV Raps and pulled me to the side. I was like, yo, don't talk about my family, dog. Mm-hmm. Red Man was like, look, y'all know I ain't no sucker, but I was like, yes, sir, Mr. Hammer. You know what I'm saying? So I just say all that to say, because for some of you guys that might be listening to this, you think of Hammer, you think of some clownish cartoon type flavor, and it's like, no, he did that to feed Oakland. He took care of a lot of people he grew up with. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why he made commercial music. But Hammer wasn't no sucker, man. So big respect to Hammer. I think this album sold about 10 million copies. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? It was like Diamond, way before, you know, Biggie Life After Death or Outkast Speaker Box Love Below. Hammer did that in 1990. Man, big ups to Hammer, dog, for real.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I know, me personally, like I've always been just a big music fan, obviously a huge hip hop fan. And I remember, like, I first heard like Can't Touch This and the other singles, and I liked them. And it wasn't until some of my favorite artists were saying that's whack or the sellout that I even thought about that. You know what I'm saying? So it was almost as if my natural feelings on Hammer were positive because I like to dance around that time. So when I see this dude and I can see he could dance, I'm like, yo, this dude's ill. And
he could dance, though.
Yeah, he could dance. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I love that Rick James record. So for him to use that, you know what I'm saying? And the catchy phrase, can't touch this and don't sleep in the hoods in New York. Back then, when they were putting phrases on T-shirts, "Can't touch this," it was on a lot of people's chests in Brooklyn,
absolutely,
throughout the city. But I think it was just artists that were jealous of. It's just facts that were jealous of Hammer's success, instead of focusing on just doing the best at what they do. They started to take shots at him, which put more attention on him. You know what I'm saying? And sure, you may not look at Hammer as this lyrical monster and blah, blah, blah. But I think personally, he made good music for a minute. It wasn't one album either. And you know what I'm saying? And one of my favorite artists on one of my favorite albums, Ice Cube, Death Certificate, the song True to the Game, you know, he basically talks about Hammer and being the sellout because he felt like, and I could hear it a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Not the sellout part, but the change. But he felt like Hammer's music had a harder edge to it prior to, you know, to that album and everything that came afterwards, which I can agree, but at the same time, that's also ignoring the record business, the business of selling records, right? You know what I'm saying? You gotta decide what audience do you have, what's your ceiling, whatever the case may be. And for Hammer, his stuff was beyond the hood. People were liking it regardless and didn't even know what rap was. And I think a lot of times some of those artists didn't like the fact, I don't know why Ice Cube would say that when NWA was big too, and look what they were making. But some artists don't like the fact that a person who doesn't know about hip hop, their introduction into hip hop is a Hammer or a Drake or, you know what I'm saying? Or somebody else not necessarily traditional, but that's not what hip hop is. Hip hop has so many different sounds, and Hammer was a prime example of that. 1990, like Tone said, sending 10 million albums out of nowhere, no cosign, no nothing. Not sounding like he came from NWA or somebody, or Ice-T, somebody we already knew, sounding like himself with an army of his entire neighborhood of dancers. Hammer was a force, man, and he did a lot for you know, people independently doing their thing and brokering deals with record labels because he was doing his thing independently, and that's how he got the deal he got. Merchandising, everything. Hammer had a cartoon, right?
Yeah, he did.
Hammer was doing things that nowadays people don't even listen to the way certain artists rap, and they just respect them off of their hustle. Hammer was doing both in 1990.
Yeah, absolutely was.
So props to MC Hammer, you know what I'm saying? And I like Can't Touch This. What's wrong with that song? You know, whatever.
Yeah, no doubt.
But leave your comments in the comment section below. How do you feel about MC Hammer, his history in hip hop? Were you around in 1990 when it dropped? How'd you feel? Did you just go with, you know, the rappers who said that was selling out and, you know, crossing over and all of that? Or did you just like the record and you separated it from, you know, Hammer from EPMD? So leave your comments in the comment section. We'll definitely check it out. Now let's get into the story at hand. The main thing, the title you saw, what you see in the background and all of that. Let me hit play on the low. Bam, so the records could like go past. But Tone, we here to talk about one of the most respected artists in the game, but something happened. And just let's get into it, man. Do the honors.
You know, I've debated this for almost 2 decades now. So today we're talking about the introduction to Lauryn Hill, and when we really figured out that it was kind of like a bolt of lightning and we would never see that storm again, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, what happened with Lauryn Hill? Did we expect her to at some point to come back to glory? Are we still waiting? Some people are still faithful in their patience.
Hold up. I just gotta give you props for because you taking it to church, man. Your voice got low and shit, and then you started talking about lightning and it not coming back. And people, I just gotta give you your props. Continue.
No, it's funny because I literally just thought about her walking down the steps to the basement a few minutes ago, man. But it's really mixed emotions about the situation with Lauryn Hill. But let me just go back real quick to 1994, my freshman year at UNCG in college, man. If any of my college friends see this, they'll bug out. But so I'm in the cafeteria, and one of my homies, he ended up being my line brother a year later. He like, man, you're a real hip hop head, man. I was like, yeah, no doubt. I write a little bit, and I've made a couple of mixtapes in high school for my friends and stuff. So I'm on my head. He's like, well, man, my homegirl is in a little rap group. You know what I'm saying? We all went to the prom together a couple of years ago. I'm like, who was that? He's like, man, have you ever heard of a group called the Fugees? I was like, nah, I don't think I heard the Fugees before, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, yeah, my homegirl Lauren and these two dudes, you know what I'm saying? They rhyming, they was doing little underground joints in Jersey, but now they popping off. I'm like, word, I gotta check them out there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think this 94, 93, 94, people aren't, there's no social media. You know what I'm saying? So you hadn't caught the video or something leaked or whatever, you didn't hear it. So that same day, ironically enough, the video for Vocab was on in the cafeteria. And I was like, excuse me, I was like, yeah, that's dope, man. They can rap. I'm like, check a little cutie. She got style, you know what I'm saying? He like, yeah, that's my homie. So he ended up showing me a picture of them at the prom when I was in high school a few years before. That's funny, man. Looking at it now in retrospect. And then I said, okay, well, I'm gonna check them out. Not too long after that, I saw the video for Nappy Heads. And I was like, oh, okay. I like them, man. They pretty dope. They kind of remind me of the Diggable Planets. You know what I'm saying? Like that, the female, the two dudes, whatever. And so then I started rocking with the Fugees, man. Of course, 2 years later, the score came and hip hop was like never the same. I mean, you're talking about 1996, one of the greatest years, top 3, 4 to me in hip hop history. And then you hear Fuji Live and It's Softly and Ready or Not. And I'm like, yeah, they blew out the atmosphere, you know what I'm saying? But, even though I thought Wyclef was pretty dope, I know Prob's a background person. it was just something special about that Lauryn Hill, man. And I was like, she is destined for greatness. And I know a lot of people are going to be pushing to see her solo as well, because not only did she rhyme, of course, but she had the cute little look. She could sing, and yeah, she had flavor, and she could freestyle. She could do everything. So you can't keep a bird like that caged up. So it was, everyone's anticipating that miseducation that we will see just 2 years after that. So you got 94 Blunt on Reality, 96 The Score, 98, you know what I'm saying, the miseducation Lauryn Hill. We'll get into all that, man. But just give me a little bit of your thoughts, man, when you first saw Lauryn Hill, and then what did you think would happen with her leading up to, of course, we didn't know there was going to be a miseducation or whatever, but just what did you think initially about Lauryn Hill and where you thought she was going to go?
Yeah, when I first saw Lauryn Hill, it was the Vocab remix video. And I knew about the Fugees, but like in the 90s, there was a lot of acts that came out, artists and groups or whatever that came out, and it was hard to tell who was going to be big if it wasn't already a bunch of airplay. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times you would see album covers all the time and just be like, Fugees, who's that? And couldn't really, put a song to it. But I remember when I saw that, and I was just looking at that dynamic, not that it didn't exist before with like Diggable Planets with two guys and the girl, but it was a dope record. And I remember she kind of had a voice that was like, to me, I didn't even hear a bar yet, and I was like, damn, she probably could spit, because just the way she started on that track was like, she ain't just started rhyming, you know what I'm saying? Or she not reciting nobody else's lyrics. So that was like my first initial reaction to her. I remember think like my sister was like, she was on a soap opera also before the Fuji thing. I forget which soap opera it was. It might have been General Hospital, one of them joints. Maybe not, but she was on a soap opera acting, and I was like, word? And she rhymed? And I remember like the score came out while I was attending Morgan State in college. And I remember like thinking like, well, they really only had that one record and it was a remix. So is this any good? And I remember when I heard Fuji live, and I remember because, she's singing on the hook and her verse crazy. And then when I heard the score, I was like, yo, this album's crazy. But she stood out even more than, because I was like, damn, she on the low she's the nicest out the group, and she can sing. But a quick story right there in that same time, I believe this was like 96, maybe, I'm not sure. But it was right before the score actually blew up. It was already out, but it didn't blow up yet. And at Morgan, they had this like mid-winter like concert where some students were still in school, some weren't back, and the concert was damn near empty. You know what I'm saying? And me and my friends kind of hustled our way to be behind the scenes on stage and shit like that. And I remember it just being light in there, but listen to the lineup now, and mind you, the only name in here that was really, really big at that time was George Clinton, who was with the Fugees. But it was the Fugees with George Clinton, Maxwell, before his debut album dropped. He was doing the singles for it. Remember, he also had Sade, the band, as his band back then.
Yeah, Sweetback.
Yeah, Sweetback and Groove Theory was.
Oh, wow!
This was the show, and it was literally.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and the thing was, it was like it might have been 20 people in there, and that's.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and now now if they did that, I mean, they could probably take a stadium. You know what I'm saying? If they put that combination together,
that's a lot of talent, man.
Yeah, man. And I remember like being back there and like meeting the Fugees and meeting her or whatever. And, that's cool. But watching them perform, I saw some signs of what we're going to talk about a little bit later. I saw some signs there because there was some things about, you know, I'm the type of cat, I'm not starstruck, but I do watch other parts of, you know, people body language. But nevertheless, man, like I learned do Wyclef. I was like, damn, I didn't know he was that talented. Like he was playing one theme on a guitar behind his head, basically. But when Lauryn was singing and rapping, I was just thinking, like, man, she's just talented, man. Like, there's got to be a solo album coming, because I can't imagine how, you know, it wouldn't. And I think once they released that "Killing Me Softly" joint, that's when the demand was at a fever pitch.
And that's also when her female fan base absolutely exploded, because we all thought she could rhyme. So the hip hop heads were like, yo, Shorty she can rhyme, so we're gonna rock with her, you know. And real hip hop heads respect anybody that can rhyme. Gender doesn't matter, because we respected Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, and a lot of other acts during that time who could really rhyme. So I started looking at Lauryn Hill like them, like, okay, she gonna be the same thing as Lyte and all them, so she gonna be fine. But when she starts singing, and then you go to the club and "Killing Me Softly" is on, and then she hit that little breakdown with the hook, and you hear all the women in the club singing that, then you like, oh, okay, she's different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, okay, this is something where she gonna transcend outside of hip hop and still be respected in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So you just got you talking about someone who absolutely can do everything, because by the time the Miseducation dropped in '98, you know, you got doo-wop and X Factor, then you got the Everything Is Everything, then you got the Zion joint, she doing hip hop, she doing damn the gospel, reggae, everything.
Hold up, before, like, right before that, let's not forget the transition from, you know, like you said, with the score, and then you got "Killing Me Softly" kind of, you know, really kind of put her above the album almost.
Yeah, it was a prelude to that song.
But then what kind of laid right in the middle and kept that momentum was "Sweetest Thing I Ever Known" off the Love Jones.
Off Love Jones soundtrack.
Like, remember, like when that came out,
the rap then.
We was like, yo, when that album dropped, we was on our Tyrone.
Oh man, no, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you reminded me about that, because first of all, Love Jones was one of my favorite movies at the time. I was in love with Neil Long like a million other guys. But anyway, the soundtrack was awesome. And speaking of Maxwell and Sweetback on the soundtrack, and of course Lauryn Hill's "Sweetest Thing," man. And again, from "Killing Me Softly" and that female fan base going sky high to "Sweetest Thing," it was a bittersweet song, you know what I'm saying? And it was also kind of like foreshadowing her own life that we'll get into. You know what I'm saying? When we're talking about the sweetest thing I've ever known, it was a perfect song for her, because during that time, transitioning from the score into Miseducation, her personal life started spiraling out. You start getting those reports about the relationship with Wyclef. They had gone way left field somewhere, and they had tried to maintain business and profession throughout the first two albums, and then it just all came to a head where they couldn't even tour anymore. They couldn't even make new music anymore, because this personal riff that Pras is always up to this day will never give a whole lot of information. I understand that. But, you know, the reports came out that, you know, their relationship failed, you know, and so going into the Miseducation, allegedly some of the songs were about Wyclef.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And, you know, but I think the authenticity of the Miseducation, because it was real, and the song and the lyrics and the passion was coming from a real place, it connected with the fans, and it connected not only with the guys, because guys felt that it was a dope album, but the females, fans, they loved Lauryn Hill's Miseducation. You know what I mean? Because they could relate. It felt like Mary J. 411 in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but that passion and personal roller coaster that she started to ride on was really one of the reasons why we're having this discussion right now, saying what could have been, man.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like I alluded to earlier when I went to that concert, what I noticed, like, when we met Wyclef, he was kind of like how you see him. He was real like, yo, what's up, man? Y'all go here, blah, blah, blah. And
So it
Pras
was cool.
yeah, cool. Pras was the same way, but Lauren was a little like, she seemed like something was bothering her. And, I don't know if it had anything to do with relationships or turnout or the money or whatever. But she just didn't seem happy to me, or she just seemed down. You know what I'm saying? Like something was bothering her. I mean, she still did her thing, but it was what it was. But I agree that, we knew back then that a lot of them songs had to do with her relationship with Wyclef, including one of the greatest diss records of all times and Lost Ones, which is clearly about him. And
clearly,
the fact that, like, for that to be the only like straight up hip hop song on there's some other rapping on there, but like it's just straight up hip hop. Who you going to scrimmage like you the champion?
right?
I mean, she killed that beat. She killed that song hook, everything, and it was almost
so great. Yeah.
What was that?
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, she sounded great on that album, on that song, man.
Yeah, man. Like she gave it the same flawless effort she gave stuff like X Factor and stuff like that. Like I want to say one take. I don't know that, but at the end of the day, it was just so flawless and perfect, especially as a rap record. And then I remember like now, and I'm gonna pose this to you also. With all of that being said about the miseducation of Lauryn Hill and the anticipation and the build up, what were your expectations going into that album? Because I will say, as much as I like that album, it's a classic to me, and I listen to it every now and again, I wanted a hip hop album in the worst way. I was happy with what I got, but it was not what I wanted. And it took me a minute to kind of shed that being upset because it's not a lot of hip hop on here, to just listen to what was there. But what about you, man? Were you expecting a complete hip hop album or maybe a mix? But were you expecting really to only have like one song that really catered to hip hop?
You know what? I didn't really know what to think going in because I had recognized how diverse her talent is. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, by the time the score was out, she had shown hip hop skills, soul, R&B, reggae, gospel. So I was like, you know what? I think her album is going to be a combination of a lot of different genres of music, maybe even some jazz in it as well. So I expected something close to what I got. I would have liked to have seen maybe 3 songs where she really just showed her flow and her MC ability, and it left a lot to be desired in that regard. But when I remember hearing it, and I was like, okay, she's so good. She just couldn't stick to one thing. It's like listening to Most Def Black on Both Sides. Like, yeah, he rhymed on most of the songs, but when you hear like Umi and New World Order and all this kind of stuff like that, it's like he had to play around with some other stuff because he was so good at just rapping. Rapping might have got bored, or it's like Andre 3000 every now and then. So Lauren was so good with music and her ability that I wasn't really shocked. I didn't know what to expect, man. I wasn't mad when I heard it. I thought it was classic when I heard it. I thought it was amazing because lyrically, it's like her diary. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like her diary, like her book of her life, autobiography, whatever. And it was so open and honest and real. I wasn't mad that I didn't hear a whole lot of rhyming in the album, man. And it was stellar, man. Again, they probably ended up selling close to 15, 20 million at some point and won like every Grammy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And all different type of fans, and but what I was hoping after hearing something that great and that musical. At some point, I was hoping she'd get that hip hop itch again, and either do like an EP or do like another album where she kind of balanced it out a little bit better, gave us a little bit more hip hop. So I was kind of anticipating the album after the Miseducation, the same way I was imagining the album from Biggie, for example, after Life After Death. You know what I'm saying? So I was imagining like what it could be. You know what I'm saying? And you know, and it never really happened in the fashion that we thought it was gonna happen, man. But yeah, you know, I figured it was gonna be kind of the way it was, man, and can't really be mad at it personally.
Yeah, it kind of felt like winning all those Grammys was like the beginning of the end, because it was almost as if we knew she was going to be big, but now she was bigger than ever. You know what I'm saying? She was transcending hip hop and R&B and soul. She was basically catapulted into that pop category, even though the music wasn't pop. But when you become popular like that, it doesn't matter what the music is. You know what I'm saying? All that matters is now everybody's clamoring for you for everything, musically, interviews, show up at my club or whatever the case may be. And I think, again, it made me think about meeting her at that concert again, and it made it feel almost as if like she didn't want all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like she liked hunkering down and creating and then expressing herself through song and music, and she probably preferred less light. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's a good point, man.
Yeah, because you know, when you think about it, some people like, you know, we like to write, you know what I'm saying? And imagine like one of your articles just takes off, you know what I'm saying? And now the, you know, New York Times is paying you, or LA Times or whoever, whatever the big publication is going to pay you way more than you make to leave your job and start writing. And you may be down with it in the beginning, but then you feel like you kind of lose something because now you're playing at a higher level. You know what I'm saying? But you were going to say something.
I agree. I think that at the end of the day, Lauryn Hill, and this is just my own perspective, I can be totally wrong about her, but some artists like to create when they want to create.
Yeah.
They want to tour when they want to tour. They want to do an appearance when they want to do it. And after the Miseducation won all those Grammys, you start seeing Lauryn on all these magazines, the little makeup magazines, and all this demands, and interviews, and you know, and she probably was getting movie roles and all kind of stuff. There's probably so much stuff coming at the same time. And then she had went through that situation with Clef. Then I think she had started dating that Rohan Marley or what have you, who she ended up having 5 kids with. You know what I'm saying? Then another kid by somebody else. So maybe she wanted to start growing a family, and maybe she thought he was going to be the one she's going to grow a family with. And yeah, they had 5 kids together, but I don't think they ever got married. I don't think they would ever, you know, I think he ended up marrying someone else a couple years ago, and then she ran off and got pregnant by somebody else, had a kid by someone else. So I think her personal life ended up being the focal point, raising a family, and if that's what she wanted to do, that's fine. You know, a lot of people, fans can be selfish sometimes, and we want what we want from an artist, but maybe at some point she was tired of the industry pulling at her, and she decided to, you know, go a different route and raise a family. You know what I'm saying? And I can't be mad at that, man. Maybe that's, she just wanted to create what she felt like creating. But during that time, you know, like 4 years after that, Miseducation, she did that MTV Unplugged live.
Yeah.
And then you see that everybody was kind of like, okay, we thought we was gonna get something different. She had the natural hair. She looked tired. You know what I'm saying? She didn't look happy. The songs weren't happy. She sung most of them either a cappella or barely playing the guitar, and even people in the crowd was kind of like, we love Lauryn, but what is this? You know, she's basically like, it was very strange behavior. And you heard a lot of rumors at that time, what's going on with Lauryn? And she on drugs. She did. I mean that's unfair, but I'm just saying, as far as like the media will try to tear into you because it was so not what we expected when we saw her, and then they end up releasing that maybe as an album at some point, but nobody wanted to hear that. People wanted to hear Lauryn in her glory from the Miseducation, and we never got that again.
Yeah, it's like 50 Cent said when he characterized that album. He said Lauryn put out an album and it had no beats. And he was not lying. I think like I could feel what she felt as far as like not wanting to deal with that amount of attention from everywhere, from everybody. And the money and the accolades and the awards weren't enough. But I think in some ways she kind of jeopardized or sabotaged purposely her own career and integrity as an artist for the most part by purposely making things that would turn people off. They were so far away from what was her passion project. Because the thing is if you created the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill out of passion and stuff like that, and it blew up beyond your wildest dreams, you can still make that. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like she stepped way out of her comfort zone to make that. That wasn't an industry album. You know what I'm saying? That was coming from her. She could still make that. But I think she just wanted certain people to go away. You know what I'm saying? And she wanted to turn them off and was like, I'm just going to make this because it's how I'm feeling about it. And I don't want, you know, and obviously I'm just getting in her head, and so to speak. But I think in a lot of ways, she didn't mind people being turned off by her new music because she felt like if she turned off the people who came along and, you know, put all the Grammys in her arms and wanted her everything, then she'll be left with the people who enjoyed her at her purest form. But she turned us off also, you know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't like there was any real effort put into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, given the fact, like you said, what she gone through with her baby daddy, you know, if you can make the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill based off of a failed relationship with Wyclef, imagine what you could do with you know, this failed attempt at a marriage and a family, and not counting her kids, but with her baby daddy, I should say, because not her husband. You can turn that into stories and reflections that people can grow off of. And maybe she feel like she did that. But at the end of the day, it's sad because look at how we talked about Lauryn as an MC, as a singer, and all the awards were just a perfect example of what we already knew listening to her music, that she was special. But it's like she didn't want to be special. And I think self-esteem thing.
Yep. Oh, quick little side note, going back to the Score era in 1996, of course, she sang the hook on If I Rule the World for Nas' It Was Written album, and Nas been my favorite MC. I thought that was just a dope collab. The video was dope with she made her appearance on the video. I think they all was on Columbia Records. So they were label mates, and they still tour to this day. Lauryn and Nas are really good friends, and they actually just performed recently together somewhere, but they maintained a friendship since the early 90s, man, when they both was on Columbia Records, which I thought was dope. So, yeah, man, she helped push that.
And they also, I don't know if you ever heard it, you probably have, because on the internet, nothing, you can hear everything now. But they also did another song together, like way later, with Nas rhyming. And with Nas rhyming and Lauryn singing the hook. She's singing it's either the Shy Lights or I forget which group, but it's a lyric from one of the old school joints. It may not be the Shy Lights. I think it's a stylistic song.
I think so, but it's a love song. Now I was rapping about a love, you know what I'm saying? She was singing the hook, man. I thought that was real dope that they did that again. It was unreleased. Of course, anyone can go just put Nas and Lauryn Hill in, and it'll pop up on your YouTube feed anyway. But it was a very dope song. I remember hearing it about 10 years ago, but it came up earlier than that. It's an old song. But yeah, man,
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, but that just shows that she could go any kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Whether singing a hook or rhyme, this. I mean, I remember seeing them in like 96, 97. Thought they were dope, and you know what I'm saying. I just knew she had the it factor, man. And again, you know, she has dealt with a lot of turmoil, and not just in her personal life, but professional life. There's been a lot of lawsuits against her with the production of the Miseducation, even some of the lyrics. You know what I'm saying? So she was working with a group of guys and suing her afterwards, and they did have to settle out of court for I think a couple of $1 million, man, for the Miseducation, and that still lingers to this day. If any fans who have seen Lauryn Hill will agree with me on knowing that if you go see Lauryn Hill right now, some of the songs on the score, on the Miseducation, she doesn't perform with the original production. She does the songs over different beats because I think some stuff with that lawsuit that some of the original songs she doesn't perform in its original fashion. Even in 2019, she doesn't. So she dealt with a lot with that. Still dealing with the personal stuff, and like you said, I think that at some point she just wanted to get away from everything and anything that reminded her of any kind of old hurt and pain, man. And she never made the kind of music that people expected again. Lauryn Hill could have made 2 or 3 miseducations of Lauryn Hill. That's the part about a music fan, like both of us, is like, what could have been. I mean, because her personal life stifled all that. She ended up having tax problems. She went to jail one time. She had all this stuff with this Marley guy. All of this, she's notorious for over the last decade for either not showing up to concerts or showing up very late, doing 30-minute sit after someone who had waited 2 hours to see her, and a lot of other unprofessionalism behind closed doors allegedly. I remember Robert Glasper. Well, I want to say had plenty of things to say about her about a year or two ago about her professionalism behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? So she's a lot of heat from a lot of people, and she kind of reminds me of some of the artists back in the day who had a lot of personal problems to stifle. We talking about the Marvin Gaye's, the Rick James, all these ultra super talented people, even Michael Jackson and Prince. They had a lot of personal demons, man, and some of the talented ones, like Prince said, the beautiful ones, man, they got a lot of stuff for them, man. You know what I'm saying? And it almost felt like, and please, people, understand this is I'm just hyperbole right here, but it almost felt like she died after the Miseducation in terms of music. Like we never saw she disappeared. It's like, you know what I'm saying, when when Richie Valens and Buddy Holly and all them, they died in the plane crash the day the music died, man. Like their voices were silent, man. Or James Dean killed himself in a car. We never saw another movie. You know what I'm saying? It reminds me of Jimi Hendrix and Morrison, all these people that died at like 27 years old. We didn't get to see them flourish the way they could have flourished, and they would have given us so much more great music from their skills and their life. But theirs ended in death, just like we lost Biggie and Pac, L, and all of them. But hers ended like by choice, like you said. It's like we never got it again. Like, and for anyone, I know people held on for a long time, but unfortunately, in my opinion, just my opinion, the Lauryn Hill people still want to act like they want to wait for it. She's dead. That Lauryn Hill is dead.
Yeah.
There's never going to be another Miseducation. There's never going to be another Fuji album. There's never going to be a time you're going to hear an album from Lauryn Hill with showing the same vigor and skill, all that stuff you saw in 94, 96, and 98. That person is dead. She's a different person now. You know what I'm saying? She has 6 kids now. She's had a lot of other things going on in her life now. She does tour again. You know what I'm saying? But that Lauryn is gone. You know what I'm saying? Man. And it was like self-inflicted crash. And that's what it was to me.
Yeah, and it's funny you would say that, because that kind of leads into this final statement. But to preference the statement or a final question, really, and obviously y'all can leave your comments in the comment section below about Lauryn Hill and everything we're talking about. But I did a podcast on my podcast, Hip Hop Now podcast, maybe like a year ago or a year or two ago, really, maybe like 2 years ago, about the miseducation of Lauryn Hill and whether or not Lauryn Hill can be characterized as a one-hit wonder. Now, when I say that, I don't mean she has one hit, as in one song, and that's it. Back in the days, a one-hit wonder can have that one song that was hot, but they may also have that whole album doing well, but then that's it. You know what I'm saying? It like they don't have a follow-up album that those same people come back and buy, that new people come to and buy. And it feels like Tone said, it feels like once we get this album, that is it. Like, and this is kind of like the roller coaster stopping at the top, and you never see the people come down. They don't get off the ride. They don't continue to ride. It just went up, and that's it. And that's how it felt. You know what I'm saying? I analyzed it from different angles and stuff like that. But what prompted that thought for me and that question was how many people revered Lauryn Hill to the point where when they name in top 5 female MCs, you know, Lauryn is always in there. When Lauryn gets compared to other female MCs who have multiple albums, maybe not as good as the Miseducation, but have multiple rap albums, Lauryn kind of always trumps them. And, you know, same thing when you talk about, you know, this album as it relates to R&B. So my question to you, Tone, and to people watching is, what's Lauryn Hill's legacy? You know what I'm saying? Do we rate her? Can we even compare her to female MCs who have had multiple albums that are hip hop in the hip hop game? And can we even rate her beyond the moment that was the songs on the Fugees album and the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, her first and only, her first, I did it right there, and only, her first solo album. Where do you think she stands, and can we even put her in the same category as a Queen Latifah or MC Lyte?
Well, I guess you look at it like when somebody say, well, Biggie had 2 albums. Well, how do you put Biggie in the top 5 with 2 albums when, you know, you have several other MCs, elite MCs who got 7, 8 albums? You know what I'm saying? It's the impact and the show of talent. You know what I'm saying? Or people great MCs. He's top 20. Biggie he had 1 album alive now. The other one came out right after he died. But I mean, you know, as he was living, he had 1 album. So how does that happen? You know what I mean? So I think if we're gonna talk about the talent part, you know, yes, you can rank Lauryn Hill because she is a rapper also. She's just so good at everything else. But when Blunted on Reality came out, she was rhyming on every song. When The Score came out, she rhymed on most of the songs that was on there. And of course, Education, yeah, she didn't rhyme on there like that, but she rhymed. I remember she was on the song, I think, on the Hurricane soundtrack with the Fugees, and just rhyming her ass off. I mean, so her lyrical performance on The Score, for me personally, is one of the best lyrical performances from someone in a group on a group album. You know, a lot of people don't really get the depth of her lyrics on The Score because Lauryn Hill is a writer. She's a poet. So a lot of times those rhymes gonna be a little bit deeper because she thinks deeply. So talent-wise, she's probably the most gifted female I've ever heard rap. I've heard in ciphers and stuff back in 95, 96, and she was right there toe-to-toe with any MC. You know what I'm saying? So even Kool Moe Dee's 50, there is a guy on the mic, the 50 greatest MCs of all time. He wrote a book back about 10, 12 years ago. I'm saying, though, I don't have it in here right now. I was looking at it recently. He had Lauryn Hill ranked number 9. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was looking at her skill level. That's what Kool Moe Dee holds his hat on: skills, rhyme skills. And if you look at her rhyme skills, I don't think there's an MC. The MC who is technically good as her, to me, I'm just talking about technical skills, not albums, legendary status. There's an MC some of you guys may have never heard of. Her name is Jean Grae. if you listen to a lot of Jean Grey's music, she is technically proficient. She's an amazing MC that is unfortunate she's not famous. So look up Jean Grey and a song called Love Story. Come back and talk to me. Or a song called Track Number 8. But anyway, Lauryn is probably the most gifted. I would rank her in the top 5. MC Lyte is the greatest MC as far as female to me because I always thought she was a dope MC, dope music, dope longevity, etc., etc. I would give her number 1 as the dopest female MC. But the most talented female MC is Lauryn Hill to me because she's actually more talented than most dudes I've ever heard. It's just unfortunate because she leaves so much to be desired.
Yeah.
But man, I'm telling you, man, she had the goods, man. Imagine right now in her heyday, if she did a full rap album with 15 songs and people like Q-Tip and Dilla and all those making the kind of beats she could rhyme on. Just imagine her rhyming on an album with the production like the collage by Bahamadia. Imagine her rhyming on that album with those beats. I mean, Lauryn Hill was a monster on the mic. It's just that, we didn't get to see what it could have been, man. But I would still rank her as the most gifted female MC, one of the most gifted MCs, and top 5 with the females, even though I think that on a good day, she could out-rap any female rapper I've ever heard. Jean Grey probably the only one I think can come close, if we talk about spitting.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think like you said, man, it's not necessarily about, how many albums she put in. You know what I'm saying? Like people start to look at, well, how many hits you had and blah, blah, blah. I think when I heard, we already had evidence prior to this, but I think when I heard Lost Ones, I was like, she can do whatever she wants. Don't matter if she feeling a dude, a chick, telling a story. That's the sign of an MC that can write whatever they want and be proficient at it. And to me, that's what always makes me put her in the top 10 or top 5, because what she did with what she had was so potent by itself. She doesn't need that long catalog. Like you said, I mean, Big Daddy Kane really has 2 dope albums, and he didn't pass away like Biggie did. You know what I'm saying? Biggie had a whole bunch of other stuff. He had a lot of mixtape stuff and all that stuff that happened, in between, before and around, for people to kind of feel that way about him. But like you said, like with Lauryn, what she did give you though was so potent and tight as a MC that it's difficult to forget about her. You know what I'm saying? Because she stood out easily within a group. So definitely one of the the craziest stories in the hip hop game and music in general. But we kind of understand it given the fact that not everybody's the same. Not everybody wants all the fame and the lights and the glitter. Some people just want to make music and they don't really care how it's received. They just want to make music from the heart, express themselves, put it out there and move on to the next thing. And, that's your education on Lauryn Hill, man. But what do y'all think about Lauryn Hill? Her place in history, the times of the score, and the miseducation of Lauryn Hill? Leave your comments in the comment section below. We definitely read everything, check everything out. Now we get to the part of the show where we recommend to you something you should go back and listen to. And my recommendation for this episode is UGK's album, double album out of 2007, Underground Kings. Now, a lot of times when I talk about this album or even, bring it up, people really only think about International Players and 3 Stacks verse on it, right? The whole song is dope, you know what I'm saying, in itself with the Willie Hutch joint, you know what I'm saying? But this was a very dope album, you know what I'm saying, from the standpoint of it was like UGK became bigger, you know what I'm saying? They weren't Underground Kings. It's kind of dope how the exposure of this album was like their big album, even though they chose to name it after their name, Underground Kings. And it's so many dope sounds on here as far as traditional sounds like beat wise from the South to, East Coast sounding like beats to West Coast sounding like beats. But nevertheless, Bun B and Pimp C are just they do what they do on here, man. They are just unfazed by the attention of people who just came aboard at this point in time as far as their career when they've been around. Couple of tracks over here that are my favorites, obviously International Players featuring Players Anthem featuring Andre 3000 and Big Boy of Outkast, Swishers and Doja. I really love Chrome Plated Woman. I didn't even have a car when this came out. I just I did, but not that kind of car where I'm kidding it up and all that. But you talk about a song that's like a love letter to a car. This is it. Life is with Too Short. You know what I'm saying? There's a couple of guest appearances on here also that people. Slim Thug's on here, Zero's on here, Scarface is on here, Rick Ross, Talib Kweli's on here. I don't necessarily like that song, but I like what it's about. It's called Real Women. Big Daddy Kane is on here. 26 tracks, very dope album. Pimp C at his height, Bun B at his height, you know what I'm saying? And it was just like if for people who just discovered them through Big Pimpin', right? Even though I knew of UGK before then, this was kind of like, all right, you like Big Pimpin', you wanted to know who these guys were, here you go. And I just think they just did a masterful job for a double album. And it's a double album that typically never gets brought up when people talk about double albums. And, obviously there are albums that some people, especially hardcore fans, will feel like are better, which is cool because, we're all different people. But this is definitely one people should go back and listen to because I think it came out at a time where there was just a lot of music out. A lot of people were getting exposure and making a lot of money, and they had the big single in International Players Anthem. But I just never hear anybody talk about the album, and the album was dope to me. So check that out. It's UGK Underground Kings. It's a double album. It's really dope. You should check it out. Tone, what's your pick or your recommendation for this week?
Oh, first thing first, man. I remember copying that Underground Kings, man, and I'm in North Carolina. I'm in the South, so I mean, we love UGK down here. I mean, early '90s, we was rocking, Riding Dirty, and
Dirty, yeah.
They used to play Pocket Full of Stones and Tell Me Something Good and all that on the radio. You know what I'm saying? 102 Jams. Shout out to 102 Jams. But it was dope. A double CD, man. It is very unfortunate it's never mentioned with other hip hop double CDs, man, because it's better than some of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I actually like this joint better than Bone Thug double CD. And I like Bone Thugs, you know what I'm saying? And, some people will say it's better than Nas, Street Disciple, and even Jay-Z Blueprints, that double CD, Blueprint 2. So, I mean, it's solid. Both discs are very good, man. You know what I'm saying? Pimp C Productions, A+. The rhyming is good. It's funny with him. He had character on the mic. Bun B was a little more serious, but still entertaining. Yeah, man, it's a very dope album, man. Yeah, check that out, man. But my recommendation, man, I was rocking this joint today. Dog Pound, man. West Coast Legends, the album Dog Food. And it's really the last early ages of Death Row. Of course, pre All Eyes on Me and Machiavelli with Pop, but from the original group of MCs in Death Row, man, Dog Food was the last classic for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was pretty much it after that, and Daz was on one. He did like 14 out of the 17 tracks. I think DJ Pooh might have did 2 or 3 other ones. Most people remember New York by the Dog Pound when they came and shot the video in New York. And then their trailer and stuff got shot up. Now there's rumors that Biggie Smalls on the radio was like, basically like, yo, man, y'all let these cats from the West Coast come and kind of do this to our city, man, whatever. And a couple hours later, Snoop and them trailer got shot up by some cats. You know what I'm saying? So one could say Big incited that. But but the video was dope. Corrupt was definitely challenging any MC from New York. He's from Philly originally, but he's a West Coast dude. You know, because his rap career was in West Coast, and he challenged MCs throughout the album. The first track on Dog Food, he challenged all the way through the album, all the way to the last track called Style, and that's one of the best flows and stuff I heard Daz on. So many styles, man. Put that in YouTube and listen to that joint, man. But you had Let's Play House. You had I Don't Like to Dream About Getting Paid with Nate Dogg. I mean, the album had the hardcore West Coast sound, but also some G-Funk kind of sound. I mean, Daz was playing with a lot of different things with the album, man. But I actually think it's a West Coast classic. Overall rating probably a 4.5 out of 5, maybe even a 5. It's really that dope, man. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people from the West Coast look at Dog Food the same way a lot of people on the East Coast look at Mobb Deep the Infamous. Like straight up, that's how they look at that Dog Pound album. So yeah, man, classic joint, man. Check that out.
And Daz is a very slept on producer because a lot of times people don't even know what he's produced. You know, they didn't know it was Daz. You know what I'm saying? They just assumed it was Dre or Warren G or somebody else or Quick. But he got a lot of hits under his belt. And I love his style of production because it's hip hop, but it's almost as if he has a little funk in there along with it. It's almost like records you could dance to. You know what I'm saying? But they don't step so far outside of that you can't rock with it. And
you know what?
Yeah.
And just real quick on Daz, just showing some love real quick. A lot of people thought Dr. Dre produced a lot of All Eyes on Me. That was Daz. It was Daz and this guy named Johnny J. Johnny J, unfortunately, committed suicide about 10 years ago, but Johnny J and Daz Dillinger did All Eyes on Me. But Daz did Ambitions of a Rider and all that stuff like that. Yeah, that's all. Daz did. And then Daz did almost all of Dog Pound album. You know, Daz did production on Doggy Style and The Chronic. Don't get it twisted. It's just you don't see his name on it, but it's not a secret that Daz has production on all of the West Coast classic albums from Death Row, even on Above the Rim soundtrack. Quick and a few other guys on there too. But yeah, so yeah, shout out to Daz. And also, real quick, Vague, I know we didn't say this, but since today is February the 13th, ironically enough, February the 13th, 1996, the Fugees dropped The Score. Okay, and also Tupac dropped All Eyes on Me. So both of those reminders are relative to this show today.
Absolutely, man, absolutely, and you know, it's definitely a testament to how people were create artists and producers cared about their music. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that everybody nowadays doesn't, but for those fans who really look at hustle only for older artists and younger artists, you know, you got to understand, man, if that music ain't bumping in one way or another, don't matter what your hustle is, it's not going to make your music high. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely not.
But definitely check both of those albums out if you haven't, or if you haven't heard them in a while, go back to them. Why not? And leave your comments in the comment section below. That's going to do it for us on this episode of That Time in Hip Hop, man. Remember that this podcast is available in audio form on everything from iTunes to Spotify to Stitcher Radio. All you got to do is search for Hip Hop Now podcast. Also there, you can listen to my podcast, Hip Hop Now podcast, which is about news and perspectives. And if you don't mind reading some knowledge, because we all know you know how to read, right? You can go to Tone's website. It's called intothedome.com, man. He has stories on everybody. So it ain't just hip hop. You know what I'm saying? You learn a little bit. It reinforces why people say certain artists are legends. And it makes it easier for someone who maybe wasn't around during the times of some of the people he writes about. It makes you understand them more, to the point where now when you go listen to their music, it takes on a whole different level of listening, as opposed to saying, you know, My dad told me about Illmatic. He told me it was hot. I'll hit play. Nah, man. And you go to enterthedome.com, man, you learn some of the reasons why, the setups of or the makings of some of these artists through their lives and through their music. But don't forget, man, this podcast is available almost every week. So hit that subscribe button on YouTube, hit that like button, leave a comment, but most importantly, share this with people you know enjoy this kind of content. On behalf of myself, Vegas, and the homie Tone, peace. Go support hip hop, man. Go now. Got out of here.
Peace.
Peace.
Drop it on the random.